Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Thursday morning the 25th of September. In this video we're going back to Nova Scotia to talk about the case of missing siblings 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan from Lansdowne Station. They were reported missing at 10:01 a.m. on May the 2nd by their mother Malaya Brooks Murray, and there's been no sight, no sound of them ever since, except for the scream that Daniel heard, if you want to believe that, and some boot prints, which in the RCMP court documents tell us are the same size as the boots that Lily was wearing. There's a little bit more that's come out about these boot prints, so we're going to talk about that. I don't know whether I believe it, but I'm just going to put the information out there, give you my opinion, and let you make up yours. Before we get into Jack and Lily's case, can I just say that little Darius McDougall is still missing. He's 5 years old, he's autistic, and he has been missing since Sunday morning. So a desperate search for little Darius. This is a Canadian case as well, but in Alberta, the Crow's Nest Pass area. His family were camping at the Island Lake campground, very, very rural. A bunch of the kids who were camping with the family went for a walk, so there was no adult supervising them. When all the kids came back, Darius wasn't with them, so they searched, they couldn't find him, so they called the cops. So a desperate search. As far as we know, there has been no sightings or nothing. It's now Thursday. He's been missing since Sunday. 5 years old, out in the wilderness on his own. Horrible. There's no mention of it being foul play in any way. It just seems like an unfortunate, really sad case of a little boy wandering away. But remains to be seen. But Darius is still missing. All right, so from Alberta back to Nova Scotia and the case of Lily and Jack Sullivan. Let's go. I'll just stop you there for another few seconds. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and with your help I can do it. It's completely free at your end. Once I get to 100,000 subscribers, then YouTube will send me a silver play button plaque for my wall. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want it? Okay, so I listened to the DT show last night, and he's been talking about the dog searches that are going on at the moment. If you've been following this case, you will know that last Friday there was a media briefing with the two RCMP dog handlers who were bringing the cadaver dogs all the way from British Columbia to search for Lily and Jack's remains, assuming that Lily and Jack are deceased and still out there somewhere. And that is a big assumption, but that's the assumption that they're going with, because they've done a whole bunch of investigating. You can tell from the court documents how much work they've done. But cadaver dogs, in my opinion, as I keep saying, should have been brought in much earlier in this case. We're going on for 5 months. Why are they only now bringing cadaver dogs? Is it just a last shot? You know, a Hail Mary? They've nothing else to go off, so this is a last resort. I hope not, but it kind of feels that way, if I'm honest. So that was last Friday, media briefing. I did a live stream with the full media briefing and my commentary, so go and check that out if you haven't seen it and you want to hear about what I think about that media briefing. But then on Monday, the dogs, 2 dogs, were on scene. They've searched the property where Daniel was living, where Lily and Jack were living when they went missing. They've searched the property with those dogs more than once and haven't found anything. And they're now doing locations close to the pipeline where the boot prints were found. So, DT shared a little snippet of information. He's got it from Janie, but Janie got it from Facebook. So let's just listen to a minute of this just to set the scene, and then I'll explain further.
And this is the photo that Janie sent me, and she said that this was most likely or very similar to what was seen out there at the pipeline when it comes to the footprints of the boot prints. Now, she said this is an accurate representation I asked Daniel, I was like, hey, is this true? And give me a sec. There we go. His response was, the picture always bugged me. During the search, it was brought to my attention that there were 3 sets of children's tracks together. I always thought to myself, how in the world did Lilly and Jack and another child walking with them during the disappearance? It just doesn't sit right with me. The chances are so astronomically low, it's not something I can comprehend. One in bare feet also made no sense to me. I said, one was barefoot. That's crazy. And I said, law enforcement told you this? He said, yes, I've seen the pictures from the search command.
Okay, I vaguely remember when the news came out about the boot prints being found, that there was some confusion about whether the boot prints were actual boot prints or whether they were bare footprints. And it seems that there was both. So there was 3 sets. So how could they have gathered a whole new child? Because there's no other child been reported missing. Now, could it be that there was a child out there at an earlier time and Jack and Lilly were following their prints, like found their footprints and were following them, thinking that one of their friends was down there? Could it be one of the searchers' children? Because annoyingly, the scene was infiltrated early on in the first few hours by informal searchers bringing their own children, like family members and stuff. Understand that people want to help, but it muddies the waters. And we're only assuming that these boot prints were Lilly and Jack's. They were both child size. One was smaller than the other. And the larger of the boot prints, it tells us in the court documents that they took a cast. They found a number 29, kind of as part of the tread. And they did a little bit of good coppering. Found out when Malaya bought the boots for Lilly and found out what size they were, and lo and behold, that brand of boots in size 11, the size that Malaya bought, has a 29 on the bottom of it. It could be a coincidence, could be absolutely a coincidence, but it has fueled the cops doing extensive searches along that pipeline, thinking that Lilly and Jack went along that way. And maybe they did, but maybe they walked out of that area. If they were continuing along the road, they could have gone way further than people think they did. But this photo, let me show you this photo more closely. Janie sent this to DT, but it's from a Facebook page called Maritime Happenings. I don't know who they are, but I do remember them posting frequent updates about Lilly and Jack. So I don't know what day this is from. I don't know whether this is from the 3rd of May, maybe. But 10 a.m, just got a text from a member on scene of the children's search. A police dog handler has located a very distinctive set of youth footprints on the natural gas pipeline, and that's a representation. Janie says that's an accurate representation, but Daniel's never understood it. Daniel won't have been talking about it because he doesn't understand it, presumably. Why would there be a barefooted child as well as 2 booted children out on that pipeline? They could be following the tracks of a child, thinking it was one of the friends, as I just said. I don't know whether the barefooted prints were the same size as Lily's or the smaller size, I'm not sure. But they could have got a stone in their boot and taken their boots off to clear the stones out of their boots. Who's not done that when they're out walking? So you've got options. It could be one of the searcher's children. It could be a child from a previous time. It could be either Lilly or Jack taking their boots off to clear the stones out. There may be other options as well, but it was a police dog handler that found these boot prints. And apparently a dog led them to those prints. Now, if you remember from the court documents, I was annoyed a little bit when it states in the documents that the type of search dog that was used, now just general police dogs, they do have some tracking training, but they are air scent dogs. So they're not tracking scent on the ground, they're tracking scent in the air. And they are not scent specific. apparently, again, according to DT, Janie wanted to give them articles of clothing from Lilly and Jack for the dogs to sniff, but they're not scent specific. They're not those types of dogs. Now, when I found this out, when I read the court documents myself, and they only used air scent dogs, I said, why on earth, at that point, when you've got an indication of a direction of a novel, unusual, new scent that an air scent dog would find, that you would assume is Lilly and Jack, but who knows, because there were so many people out there that day by the time the dogs got out to the pipeline. Why on earth did they not bring scent-specific dogs in at that point? If it was in the US, they would have. They did it in the Sebastian Rogers case. The first dog on scene, Max, was a general police dog. Got some tracking training, but not scent-specific. Then, the next dogs on the scene were scent-specific. You've got this bloodhound who starts tracking at a point where Shadow Man had been 8 hours before. Was Shadow Man Sebastian? We don't know. But it seems, yet again, that Canada is behind the times. They don't have the amount of resources. They've not invested in dogs. If this was in the US or in the UK, the obvious thing they would have done, if you've got an indication, you've got a sign that potentially this is, the children, their boot prints are here. A dog's found these tracks, but he's not equipped, he's not trained to follow a scent from a specific person. That would have been able to rule in or rule out, most likely, whether or not it was Jack and Lilly. But we'll never know, because all that scent has been and gone months ago. And we are now left with the final possibility, the Hail Mary, that the cadaver dogs will find them when they may not even be there anymore. They may have walked off, they may be another mile down the road before anything bad happened to them. They could have been picked up by somebody. We just don't know. But this is the last hurrah, it feels like to me. I'm not saying there's never going to be any more searches in the future, but we've waited so long for new searches, and here we are with cadaver dogs that should have been brought in months ago, in my opinion. Alright guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. How frustrating is this? And I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys. Tilly sit. Good girl. Noodle. Tilly sit. Good boy.